Welcome to Economics Rise. Our course for today is microeconomics, and the topic is the imperfect market. And under this imperfect market, we're looking at monopoly. By monopoly, the first thing that should come to your mind is a single giant controller in the market that controls the prices of goods and services and the quantity supplied in the market. This monopolist is driven with the aim of achieving a higher profit compared to implementing higher prices. So let's look at the characteristics of a monopoly that once from afar we sight a giant person in the market. How are we able to tell if he's truly a monopolist? The first is there is only one single seller for a particular product. When we have a single seller for a particular product, obviously we expect the person to be a giant in the market. The second says there is no close substitute, and this refers to the product in which this monopolist has to offer in the market. There is no close substitute for such. As such, we are inclined to buy from this person. And the third one says is the price maker. Since he has significant influence on the product, he chooses or fixes the price of this commodity to his advantage. As such, we are inclined to buy from him at a higher price. There is barriers to entry in a monopoly system. By barriers to entry, it means that there is no free entry and free exits for other firms who sees this monopolist market as a point of making profit, because there are some inclined barriers which can either be natural reasons or legal reasons. Non-price competition. By non-price competition, we mean that systems of advertising. So there is no price competition in a monopoly market. Another one is that a monopolist is driven with the profit maximization objectives. Once you see all these characteristics in a particular market, that should signify you to a red card that this is a monopoly system. Now, I'd like to elaborate more on the reasons for barriers to entry. I told you earlier that the two reasons could either be natural reasons or legal reasons. And by natural reasons, one of the reasons I have here is economies of scale. Economies of scale is simply the advantage that a firm enjoys as a result of the location of its industry. And by this, it means that a firm is able to incur or produce maximum output at lower average cost. And this is due to the location of its industry with other industries. So, the other says the ownership and control of essential resources. When a person is the dominant owner of a particular resource, he is inclined to put a barrier to all other people who wants to own these resources because he's the sole owner of these resources. So these are natural reasons why there won't be free entry and exit into the monopolist market. And by legal reasons, we're talking about patents, laws, copyright, and license system by the government, which is meant to give utmost recognition to a particular person in this production line. Pricing system. There's every possibility that when a person sees a profit in the monopolist market and decides to enter, the monopoly can decide to reduce its price just to discourage this person that there is no profit in this market you're going to. So it just decide the new entrant decide to like step back because of the red light of there is no profit. How does a monopoly demand curve look like? The demand curve for a monopolist is downward sloping to show the substitution effect between the price and quantity. And this means that a monopolist has only control over the price and the quantity supplied, but he has no control over the quantity demanded. So for an increase in price, his quantity demanded reduces. So in order for him to attain profit, he has to substitute or um, change prices because he's the price maker in this market. A marginal revenue and demand curve. The basic assumption is that the monopoly is secured by natural and legal barriers. As such, new entrants into the market is curbed. And we also assume that there is government restrictions that in terms of patent laws, copyright, and license, and we assume that it charges a single price. As such, we have a demand curve to be downward sloping from left to right. A marginal curve is also downward sloping. A marginal revenue curve is usually less than the price. As such, that's why we have it below the demand curve. How do we determine our output and price in a monopoly market? The first thing you need to know is that at the point where your marginal revenue is equal to your marginal cost, that signifies your profit maximizing quantity. So from our diagram, at this point where our marginal revenue is touching our marginal cost curve at this point, traced down shows our quantity demanded, our profit maximizing quantity. However, when it is traced up to this demand curve, it shows us at what price are they demanding for this particular quantity. Then we determine our output, which is the Q, and our price, which is P. The profit maximization for a firm, we say if a monopolist will earn economic profit at the point where its price exceeds average total cost. If the total cost it uses or it incurs during the production process is less than the price that it charges, then a monopolist earns economic profit. Diagrammatically, we have a price on the y-axis and a quantity on the x-axis, and our demand curve, which is known to be downward sloping, marginal revenue curve, which is downward sloping. Where our marginal revenue curve touches our marginal cost curve, we have our quantity, which when traced up to your demand curve, shows you the position of our price. However, our average total cost curve, which is represented by this U-shaped, shows us that at this point, the firm has incurred the total cost of production, and the point or the deviation from this average total cost to price here shows that the monopolist is earning economic profit. The key points to note is that a monopolist has no supply curve because there is no unique relationship between the price and the quantity supplied in the market, because its supply decisions is based on the marginal revenue, marginal cost, that is the driven by the innate selfish reason of profit maximization. So another key point to note is that the monopoly seeks to maximum total profits, not maximum unit price. As such, there's limitation to its control in the quantity. So a monopolist is driven with the aim of maximizing profits and not higher prices. You understand? Because even if it charges higher price, there's a limitation because it does not have a control over the quantity of goods to be demanded. Then we say a monopolist production level neither yields productive nor allocative efficiency. By productive efficiency, we simply explain a scenario where a monopoly should incur the lowest possible cost of production in its production process. But a monopolist is not concerned about this, but is only driven by its profit maximization objective. And by allocative efficiency, we illustrate a scenario where your monopolist um, produces or supplies the society with the exact quantity of goods and services that is needed in the society. But a monopolist does the reverse, because he produced less than what the society needs in order for him to manipulate price changes. I hope you understand this. Please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Share with your friends. Thank you.